Obi, medawase, nyamiando mehoye.
Bibia boko.
Nyamiando bibia boko.
Fantastic.
Come no wom kakra. Come no wom kakra.
Yeah, easy. And I believe that one of the focus areas for the new force, right? Say a aduani bebu ewo yemen.
Sanity. Sanity.
In more 12-point agenda, no, a find the expression ewum.
Definitely. Oko pillar 4.
Pillar 4.
You can be said reserves.
Okay.
Enumuno ya chichemu your gold reserves, your oil and gas reserves,
okay,
your food reserves, your general mineral reserves,
okay,
and your in quotes tax reserves.
Tax reserves.
Yes. Into
that's the pillar 4.
Yes. Adriane adia ya dwene ho ye pa se okom Ghana nye oman se
with food reserves, no, specifically then amobeye.
With the food reserves, no, what we intend to do is say ye pese itimi store aduane a be lasting for the next 100 years.
Aduane for 100 years.
Yes.
That's what I best say.
Debbie said aduane no utimi de enuma bi ekeka ho. And depending on where you store it, and also nina beche say bitimi aguhacha and say muhonche. And in the quest of doing this, no, you have to invest in mechanized farming and agriculture. You have to build canals, any water reservoirs are a bit to me aboa for irrigation. And no your leadership, any politicians are very tribunal. So imagine na unkosu say eboapaya omen to me anye na edio mai ababedru bebia yewi
na me share pillar 4 as you said, reserves. Even an ant stores food. And you see we are a nation of 33 million people. What have we prepared for our future? And under food security for 100 years, established the largest seedlings bank in West Africa. Also, we have 13 million hectares of arable land for planting. Wow. And seedlings bank, meaning say abino ebe establishes our seedlings, not one make for seedlings or mubedia.
Absolutely. And no kwa SSC abino investing in research.
Okay.
Okay. We have to go into genetic engineering. I think so as I said, yetimi refining oil products. Yetimi the petrochemicals. Na no amount fertilizer. Enti sa nyoma bebre ekekambom ansa na wetimi abedru sa food reserves na ye kano. So it's a multi-level approach to governance and economic freedom.
Yeah. Me share the 12 pillars. And Nyoma 12 pillars ye ase. And the kind of things you want to do. Some of them not your usual things are political parties in your power or more eye. I mean, being an economist, you know, say to implement some of these projects, we have resources. It can be capital, it can be labor, it can be everything. From the kind of economy we have,
Obi, wait, I say, oh yeah, assume fidia mama kasi tisika so comedy. But on the more serious note, Obi, the bia na meka Ghana for say from 1970 edebepem eneya metewanimi sika nko a ayire free oman mu a yentumi account for a kwan bi so your friend no capital flight no
yes
ebro $50 billion $50 billion ode eno to nchen a emu nko a yekra edeba oman mu ene fla esam okaboma ekọ $1 billion afibia eno nko danchen ye oman a you produce oil and so ye net importer of oil products. Enti afibia ye boka more than $1 billion ekra gas oil at the bow maimu. E can 2 million metric tons. Enti sa nyome ya mambobo bosi se o reverse no now to make katino into half umpa. Or bear say $20 billion to begin with. Na sa $20 billion no a door so chain budget you could read your parliament. We will increase the tax. You are just plugging systemic leakages and you are reversing unnecessary importation. Into sikanka obepone now dia koma bruni no. Afi eti ekuafo botum. Bosia and Kabako Kobo every IMF Yakoha 17 times I still Ghana enye ye no. Afi unko bossa Bosia ni biem.
But Hubert Senyame ya domina o boss Nana Kwame we need the next election by a president. In him say this government will present their last budget in November. That budget no would run at least into 2025 for the first quarter of 2025. Yeah. The new administration be present to our first budget around April, May. Muho baby. At that time, Neomana washe Ghana for Bonin, they would expect to see something some more. Yes. I'm not too sure that 20 billion will be available to you by April in 2025.
Well, definitely not in 2025. Now, we are very much aware, say, Nyamea Dom Nagana Fonso Etie Asempa. We are going to start with just about $11 billion, according to budget Penny for Ediababe Tujano.
Yes.
Now, and your mammy will so make her say, O plug systemic leakages are Ubenyano. Sanyomano and follow within the budget. No. So, and if you're gonna spend $50 million, Mema example. If you're gonna spend $50 million to establish a distributed ledger infrastructure or technology for all government procurements, now they blockade $1 billion of losses into corruption corruption. Apart from 11 billion nanke wo budget ni muno. So na according to Auditor General's report no enye 1 billion you lose in corruption, it came 4 billion. So you are spending, you are purchasing and making investments every more returns quadruples. If you spend 50 million to create infrastructure, now we'll save $1 billion, 2 billion, 4 billion. I think it's worth it, and those are some of the things. The first things that you plug leakages, Now, afi, you start here fresh.
A free more with some sika. I am interested in Pillar 1, but even before me busao about Pillar 1, you are a young man. I mean, say no mind in the air cano, and so share the young men of this country and women. I mean, by the time on free university, some of them join test contain on university campuses. Into Onya free school are they transition into mainstream politics, joining either MPP and NDC. Why the new force? At then of all the attractions, I mean the NPP, the NDC attraction, no, you decided to join the new force. I didn't hear.
Obi, maybe that's say no question here will be say. Now, first of all, no, brother, I'm okay in Western. Now, make a test con home.
Okay.
Na your co test con meeting Uber now koye solukune jamashene yi sabro na deputy minister finance.
Okay.
No taba hopa onesamia uku no ne ade.
Okay.
Inti metna say dream one and me say, is this really where I want to be? Inti after I began to search for baby me sha me de me ho kwa a bit to me abwa o mine because I am altruistic in nature. And you mean kwa me ho na me dwene.
Yeah.
Inti ye duadua mu and ye free be synchronicity. They all dwene no obi nso dwene the same thing. Inti the universe in its own intelligence, once a nede mummy no maba beshia. And me obi so I am attracted to people with high intentions and are committed to skillful execution. And I think that is the best quality of Nana Kwame Bediako. O share adan we see Ghana now share the perfection no. Utimu so you be a ade fair and fair. And he stands for excellence. Enti me hu say ye nya obi sa ebedi oman so a ebebo Ghana ye pa. Yeah.
Going close to because for him to make you the lead economist, no, meaning say if he decides to build a youthful cabinet, for example, you would be considered for a very high cabinet position. I would want to believe say and all of that. Do you think that there is something about him a Ghana for inhui intina ebia? I don't know the level of acceptability of him amongst the Ghanaian people. But ABS who sad Ghana for would readily accept him. Bibi one who yana.
I think say Ghana for I accept it. The message echo.
Okay.
On the other side of the question, so no. Correct. Nana Kwame Bediako, my friend is Ghana for nyina penny. Ewo qualities bia dodo na no enye nhunu ye esan say ni social media odi kan ba out no say de osi appear to Ghanaians na ya de foforo na ye nhunu bi saada enti when people begin to act in a way and fall within a frame of reference ya na to de bia unya doubt kakra. But Ubena say he's the most compassionate human being you can ever find. O nipa bi odwene nipa ho pa na okọ na adwuma mu a obia be dia danse. Onimobia problem o adwuma nim. And he is willing to go all the way through with you. Na me no nya me nwanwa because nipa bia oba na tete no opeke sa qualities ni and to said you see don't me any idea all these are signs actually say papa we dwene nipa ho
yeah I get you and I believe sir nipa ho dwen no na inform the kind of policies that were rolling out in the 12 pillars. So number 1 16 regional industrial revolution 15 regions dormant, 1 region choked. I would want to believe say a Greater Accra region and I choked, into the whole thing around industrial revolution. Is it the year with the NPP 1 district 1 factory now and as something fundamentally different?
Well, it is fundamentally different.
Okay.
And superficially similar. The idea of 1 district 1 factory good.
Okay.
But the Biana Mekase ideas alone are not enough. You need refined thoughts. So refined thoughts and any stage na yempeni for no enwini nkudru. Omudru idea stage na no mapim. Because idea stage no nkwa no timi score on political points. But any political points no na yedi bu mind. E was so move called refined thoughts nim. Now refined thoughts ebine say ko establish a factory and I say industry baby as I say the demographics of the area. Because adiana ode ko ho no enipa to ho ebia the age bracket near 45 to 65 na edi ahoden na omode kwa akoye adwuma ewo ho. Na some mistake we no enye aban woso yinko na aye from the beginning of independence I had be seen no yempani fo no bebre aye some mistakes no just to score political points enti ebani trima no or the factory no akwesi baby se be ya nipa be boni ye so no enti any 4 years any 3 years na ade no gu because business no yet sustainable. But when you have a businessman who is successful for the last 25 years he understands deeply how these things work. It will need that was see how they are relocation, sir. This is the kind of consciousness now can say 15 regions dormant, 1 region choked. And correct. So we share in capital Accra, nipa egum edos ye pa. But Greater Accra size what to compare Ghana be 1.4% pe.
of the whole Ghana.
Of the whole Ghana. But there's a 60 to 70% of internal migration in United towards Greater Accra. Percentage say so be money bag so na nya abrochire no kwa
or back
yentimi enyo minus and you need to think of how to fiscally decentralize the country. Say udwiri sika manako all the regions.
Yes.
Na regions so western region they have so many resources, a lot of minerals and can be to me I exploit it. Na benefit your man so yama brofo and I take control now omode minerals in your.
And the idea is to build some kind of growth poles and
absolutely and you wanna get the true potential of all the regions. You want to maximize the potential of all the regions.
When I'm working from research, no, we determine every region's wealth.
Yes.
In the Volta region, wealth, $192 billion.
Yes.
But that's a lot of money.
There be way a conservative figures.
Really?
Aye.
Ashanti region 240 billion. And when a value of the
mineral
natural
resource
or more.
Yes.
Western region 412.9 billion. Upper East region 53.5 billion. And we know the research, the figures were based on what? A day?
Well, from different sources. Okay. There are a lot of research on Ghana. Your resources are
yes.
Now Obi Unimbibi Abrofono more information
it's true.
It is open and no ma Ghana pa information
it's true. May have a master's now may pay data on Ghana, me use CIA fact file.
Absolutely.
And you get a lot of information there.
Absolutely. And thank you for mentioning CIA. You know, some of the information free CIA, it been so free China for my bay Juma or more information echo. It been so free professors or more or my extensive research for many years, and nobody has been paying attention to them.
To the research. Yeah. No? I love the bit on the wealth creation. So maybe back to the Industrial Revolution, meaning say for regions now and you state here say our research on attributable reserve shows gold plus iron ore plus oil plus gas plus bauxite plus lithium plus diamond and the potential of our agro processing on our arable land. Ebit me something around $2.5 trillion.
Yes.
Wow. And that's really massive. And you want to make sure, say, you exploit Weno to benefit the Ghanaian people.
Absolutely.
In all the regions. In 10 years, we would have an economic output of $4.7 trillion.
Yes, and what that means, and I say, so 2.5 trillion na
yeah.
Senka yusu na in 10 years time, no economic output anka you do the proportions, no pro rata.
Yeah. We produce 200,000 barrels of oil per day. We sell these and then import refined product. Said the okay,
Yeah.
And must say we refine the oil, petrochemicals, so that we do not import product. But no, easier said than done, because say as a country we've not been deliberate in making sure that we would invest in prospecting for some of these minerals, and we allow foreign companies to come with a capital almost strike oil now. They would go into an agreement with you, and that agreement you don't expect say will be more than them. How would you want to change that structure? No?
You rightly said it. Say we have not been deliberate to invest in exploration. Na offer or mind be to say China. China produce gold. They are doing about 370 tons a year. We China free maybe about Australia 310 and then Russia the same amount. Na Oko China omu major mining companies no enye obi ne free or mine so no abemu na debi. China for no sika no mudi to ade no mo ankasa keep as reserves. No yenya sa consciousness no. Because broni ni di sika ne ba no se me betu na mema 10% Penny dream say 10% of a billion near $100 million is a but on when say gold no ankasa na bruni de kono a hedge against inflation. Na se unisa reserve no o currency no ebesinity ase. But the moment adwene no ebeko in reverse no afi utumi enya sa consciousness no na in finance you will be a friend say hypothecation. Hypothecation nature say sika bia abounce em no earmark say sika dwumadie we pote ena me bedi enti anke betumi anya adwene say sika bia ebeba no ye de kwa akodi sa dwuma we isa say yebema ebia mining company XYZ ababeye Sadi we no. Yan kasa yebe building up your equity. We can go into partnerships with foreign companies, but the equity no a question no. So the equity near more than 50 to 60% a fair na near say you control your reserves. It's nana kwame bedi ako message ni na no. It borders around ownership and control
of your resources.
To
benefit the
Ghanaian people. Ownership and control. So when to me and control now I'm onia, you can have all the resources in the world, but unye.
And that explains your situation as a country.
Sanity.
Well, we don't control our resources, and that is the paradigm I'm going to shift.
Absolutely, absolutely.
There is this thing about the Mahu transportation and some of the bold water connectivity infrastructure. Lake Volta is the largest man-made lake in the world. Emaya electricity. Mark, I say you would want to dredge canals, increase cargo flow with new port. The Suez Canal in Egypt generates 9.4 billion a year. And you want to have a similar thing.
Yes.
Ewo Ghana on the Volta Lake. When your waters are neglected and abandoned, why wouldn't they be polluted? It brings us into the conversation around, illegal mining and what it's doing to our water bodies. Mark, about railway network. Our vision is to develop a comprehensive railway network exceeding 8,000 kilometers, 1.5 million tons of steel needed. This will be produced from Pillar 1. In the Pillar 1, Industrial Revolution. No? Okay. Build railways to the borders and let our neighboring countries continue to connect the West Africa region. And that's a comprehensive policy on transportation. I say the moon needs the sun to shine. So does Pillar 2 needs Pillar 3 to thrive. And Pillar 3, from transportation, mobile energy city and technology hub. The energy city.
Well, Obi said asemna yatrono hono. And Nyoma Yabobosui 16 regional industrial revolution and railway projects are your person I don't know. Say uni energy untimi empower industries.
Okay.
And I say investor bia so ever ukrumwa.
Or
Hesanioma no. O energy tariffs no enye competitive obeka so obeye dwuma no a obeboka. Intino what we are saying is say yetimi a consolidated power mix. And I say energy sources. In him say we are already in the hydroelectric. We are already in the thermal. But we have to go big on solar farms. We have to go big wind farms. We have to go big biomass. Afe unya enonu nyina wia unwiye. SSA making bold steps towards nuclear energy. Because nuclear energy no na unya ema energy no and I say electricity no many idea no bo no form. The initial cost no high, but the benefits no are no. And see, in the mind of the Nakwame Bidia, because ordinary Nantia, Obeka say it's not about the initial cost. Say adia no, the return on investment no S1. Go for it. And this is the consciousness. And no kwa you say 640 million Africans don't have access to energy. And see, you say a but no opportunity. Ede magana enti saa ne oma no na ya sha ase a ye dwene ho ne de to Ghana fo anim se omoma ye kwan a ene oma sei na ye de begugu akwan mama oman no etumpon.
It's interesting. I mean some of the information I'm going to put it together in this policy document. I mean, for example, I'll share data centers now. Build data centers to support the technology hub. We would position Ghana for crypto farming, which is mining. That's crypto farming or mining. Coin minting and tokenization of assets this is the future of finance. Now, when I'm on for a bit skeptical, this whole blockchain, crypto, it's convenient. People advise and convoke Charlie, don't go near sir because say ulusu bamut musike da ho nyina echo. Are we ready for BBC?
Well, that's an intelligent question, Obi. Now, let me begin by explaining the underlying technology. Or build it on top. The underlying technology, any friend is said distributed ledger technology, and I say infrastructure.
Okay.
Na obia waya accounting da bia no nim say ledger. I had to say wodwo na watro expenditure any income. Into we come na we frame, we come na we frame. That's the ledger. Into the distributed no so say matro ade na gu me notebook e wodwo no. May be making millions of copies of the same information. No, Inti se me copy no eira.
Okay.
We still have other copies we can fall on. Inti sa technology no ni nickname any friend no blockchain.
Blockchain. No. Okay.
Na the advantage in so ewa ho ne se immutable. Echere se utro shem se sika say e na abefa business ni ma obia sesa no a enye yi. Because at your end, because adn distributed no, just call all the other computers are running no to change everything, and it's impossible to do that. So that's the underlying technology, and this is going to be the future of finance. So see, I mean, say, American government is thinking of building Bitcoin reserves. American government. So, and there are many other governments, Germany, they are all going deeply into it. Na Brunino, obedadao, no, I'm making advances. Bear 30 years ahead of you. Or we are no about the two for say, this is what you have to do. So, it's no, Obana na kwa mbedia kon 18 mwa. Ebi ameka se di wenyi ni pa akro, ebi akro wenyi 35 mpo. So, this is the new consciousness yadeba. Because no, they don't want to look into other areas. But and also so a bit to me well leapfrog enim. Because baby I want to cast a from baby America no more shall say near ye that. You need and you may be a big region as well leapfrog. Now I tell me catch it up kakra. Oh, and see, and only idea friend is saying Yansa and I say intelligence. Ye caso be ni Yansa and me say the person has an uncommon advantage of multiple perspectives. And I
think one of those perspectives would be something Norway has done and done very well, which is the National Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Absolutely.
And Momo say it's the new IMF. Yes. I remember say yenya oil in commercial quantities. President Kufuor then a seminar, be a big one. I remember Trinidad and Tobago 4x, Norway 4x to come and show and as a talk to us how we can manage oil resources. I don't know what became of that event, but when you read about Norway, one of the things they've done so well, like your more national wealth sovereign fund, it's something you are proposing in this.
Well, like you rightly said, inspiration need be free, Norway.
Okay.
Na Osha, oyo nonkwa na ometumi edia build it.
Sure.
Sa sovereign wealth fund no. And they are kase I think sa last year omu generate profit of more than $213 billion. $billion. Sa profit no from omu national edo so che Ghana GDP nyina. And sa omu population ye be 5-6 million. Let's just say Accra near on a Norway population and so sika omunya from just one avenue as to change the entire Ghana GDP. So into the consciousness say you have to build the reserves. Now if you leave it for the National Sovereign Wealth Fund to control. International Sovereign Wealth Fund on independent and autonomous. Take your decision.
They can invest in other areas.
The idea is that you want to delocalize the way we do investments in the country. So it will share Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund And you Norway, Hong Kong, or Modisikanishe. Or more shares for every major company in the world.
Sure.
They have shares in Alphabet, they have shares in Apple, they have shares in Google. Baby, and Obia, while we there of finance, we be catch say we asset and asset fund allocation free. The next big thing in investing, diversification.
Yeah.
Now diversification, no interest say. Me to my card, no to paper, no to any no quantity diversification. Location now we invest no, and so your diversification. In Sisikane kakra o Ghana, now or foreign assets or Brazil, now or assets nibo India. Ni nyina no kekambom and no kwa kambom ma currency no ye strong because o build the investor confidence. Nti ya na mo say empanifo no saa enwoma say no. Emma o madwini mu. Because Obi, I will never accept to say me amete he ma bin chen Dr. Baomiao. And I say kwesi botwe no mo ma beye bi koyi. There be. So it really baffles me. It really baffles me.
Is it not the case maybe when you are out normally looking very easy, but when you step into their shoes, decision making at that level maybe easy the things, the interests you have to consider are varied.
Obi, enti possible say Singapore there when you step into the shoes and Nyoma Koye na Ghana Ngwana will step into the shoes enye. I think say they don't have the political will to develop the country. And na enyo munyina omumu dodo na no don't care about the country. I think so the political party machinery now mo de ba no baggage no eso dodo. Enti we need power na the number of people are say obi be say o settle no a dozen year pa and until I propose lean governance, efficient governance model next annual no.
And more look here ministers be saying
12 ministers.
12.
Yes.
12 ministers.
12 ministers.
And the Mubenya minister back in charge of every pillar na.
Obi, you're very smart.
Oh, that's the idea.
That's the idea. Enti pillars na yabubo su ni nyina no ministers na ba beda no.
Ah, that's interesting.
Ministers na beda pillars na no. Now, Oma making sure say you to me deliver perfectly.
That's really interesting
for the people of Ghana.
But only what I want to do is I don't wanna kwame the presentation or launch this document, you know. Me nyamre ntimi entie ni, but I think going through it and then it's a very interesting document. I was say ye nyamre maybe you have to come back because ya baby drew pillar 5. Pillar 6 is interesting, the SNIT revolution. I want to hear more about that. Pillar 7, industrification. Pillar 8, environmental human rights protection. Pillar 9, apostolic governance. The 12 ministries. Oh, okay. That's here. Pillar 10, raising Ghana's $50 billion. Wow. And Pillar 11, national security and data protection. Pillar 12, sport and the creative industry. I think I was saying, yes, Emma Obabaki bio. And then we go into the rest of the pillars. Na ye BMA Magana phone united to me at I think we have to feed the Ghanaian people with all the alternatives, the options, so they can make the right decision. This is a really, really interesting document. Who can more try and
more try the young consili kakra. But the main idea no nana kwa video ko nyoma we trimupa.
Hey. Anyways, my final question to you, and Sana Yamawako already. I mean, Honorable Edward Bauer had the message about no cassette or more the NDC's version of sovereign wealth fund. No, they created a heritage fund. I don't know if it's the same, the same thing.
The same.
Okay.
In America, say delocalization of investments.
Okay. We say, Obi, what is Hubert talking about? Reserve food for 100 years? Please ask him to give us an example in the world where food has been reserved for 100 years. I don't think say you mean literally say yeah the more talk or say
baby for 100
years. I don't think that's the idea. Yeah.
Until we refer to the seedlings bank, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Paul de Suso, thank you for your message. But I think that's the response. My final question to you, near the Nkomana Bay, and then maybe Uba back be near Twaso. So what share presidents are yenya? It is said, say almost all of them at one point or the other were career politicians for the want of a better expression. Rawlings was not a politician, but through coup d'etat, be head of state for 11 years, transitioned into constitutional governance, a president for 8 years. Rebecca was some political experience when we entered 1992 and implemented the constitution. Subsequent to him, Kufuor, for him, you can say he's a career politician. So much experience under his sleeves. Mills, why a vice president? Be president. Mahama why a vice president? Be president. Nanado for the best part of the adult life, was in the trenches, frontline politician, if you want. Baumia, I vice president. Or person be president, or some level of experience politically. Mahama the same. Nana Kwame Bediako doesn't seem to have that. So political governance in this country without our experience, you think he can be successful? Looking at how a political system,
Well, you need experience in politics to become an excellent politician. But an excellent politician is not an excellent leader. An excellent leader, no experience in life. And he has the ability to put brains and minds together and allow them to function. And no politicians because so you're a politician, career politician, or consciousness a job for the boys. So ye di power ni wia e kwan a mefa so a me position me nkrofo because politics na about loyalty. But business entesa business na about what works. Into business na more about idea meritocracy. No ne adwene a na kwame bedi akon edeba. And is the more reason in tia as a Ghana for a try Yeah.
Hubert, ma yensanya arranging embra nebra bio na fe yanto common so why I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Same here. Pleasure.
Fantastic. Eko see sense na high Sempa FM. Yentie we emra ye by the next chapter.